Hello, everyone. Welcome to Punch the Mic Podcast, Episode 2. Today I have Todd Ben-Shown on.
Hey, I'm not like Navi. I won't go hippity-hoppitous. My name is Optimus.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the main card of UFC 246, which is a decently okay card. It's not the greatest card, but it's got okay fights on it. And what's his name? The Diego Ferreira. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's facing Anthony Pettis. And Diego Ferreira, he has lost to Dustin Poirier before and Beneil Dariush, who are okay lightweight fighters, and they're not the greatest, but they're decently. Beneil Dariush is not one of the best fighters, but Poirier is one of the top elite fighters.
Yeah.
And another fight that's on the main card is then Claudia Gadelha versus Alexa Grasso. Claudia Gadelha is coming off of a bad streak of fights. And I remember specifically one of her fights with Jessica Andrade where she got slammed multiple times. Like, Todd, that's kind of crazy. That she survived that kind of fight.
Such a beating.
Yeah. And then Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington isn't doing too hot recently, but neither is Holly Holm. Holly Holm lost. I do not remember who it was to recently, but I'm drawing a blank on that. But Holly Holm has been on a okay stretch, but she's coming to face Raquel Pennington, and I think she's going to do decent.
Wasn't it that Polish girl that she lost to, or was that somebody else?
Shevchenko?
Yeah.
She lost.
That wasn't. That was. I'm blanking. I have no clue. Whatever.
Yeah, but basically Pettis is gonna have I was talking about the wrong thing. Holly Holm is gonna have an easy time with Raquel Pennington if she doesn't pressure Holly Holm and keeps her away from doing her kicks. But that depends on how Holly Holm is and how Raquel Pennington decides to fight her. But what is it? Oh, Anthony Pettis. He's gonna be fighting Diego Ferreira, and I think Pettis will win if he just doesn't get pressured, because the way to break down Pettis is to pressure him, and that's a big flaw in his game. And I really don't think he's going to have a good night if he gets pressured by Diego. But Diego's losses have both come by KO and decision. And if Pettis can outlast him, he could probably beat him by decision or KO him in the later rounds with some wheel kick or a running knee off the cage. Something wild.
Yeah.
Now, what about Jimmy Rivera? Jimmy Rivera is fighting soon, who is my coach.
We've both known Jimmy Rivera for I've known him for 5 years. You've known him for your entire life almost.
Yeah, I've known Jimmy since I was 4 and I'm 16 now. So I've known him for 12 years, right?
Yeah, that's 12 years. We're both Tiger Schulman's boys. We know a lot of people. Jimmy.
Who's your coach? Or your sensei?
Michael Trizano.
Michael Trizano. How did his fight go last?
It was in May or something. I think he lost by decision. But he got a really... I don't know what happened. I think he tore his ACL or something in his knee. And he was recovering for 3 months. He's fine now. He's walking. He's running around. I don't know. I see him a lot. He's really energetic because his knee's healed. But it was bad.
But Jimmy Rivera, though, he's coming off of a bad stretch where he lost to Marlon Moraes. He then fought John Dodson. Then he lost to Aljamain Sterling. Then he lost to Peter Yan. Now he's facing Marlon Vera, I think it is. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Marlon Vera. But yeah, Jimmy as a pupil of Jimmy, it's hard to see him lose by spectacular knockout to Marlon Moraes and then a tough decision against somebody in Aljamain Sterling, who also went to the same college that my sister went to. So it was kind of a rivalry between siblings to see who was going to win.
Yeah. Honestly, I would vote for Jimmy if I was in your position.
Yeah.
Because, like, Jimmy's kind of a role model for us because he's not big in the UFC, but he's pretty popular.
Yeah, he's number
I think he was like number 7
yeah,
in what was it?
in bantamweight.
Bantamweight.
And he was number 4 or number 5 ranked in the world at one point.
Yeah.
So he was working his way up until he fought Marlon Moraes, who snapped his 20-fight winning streak. But yeah, that's all I got for Jimmy. But basically now we're going to talk about Tab's point of view on the Cerrone versus Conor fight, because you heard my point of view in the last episode where I was saying that I think Conor could win, but if Cerrone drags into the later rounds, I think Cerrone could get a takedown or a knockdown and pull a submission off of it. But that's up to how Conor's stamina is and his striking. But Tab, now your point of view.
Okay, so for me, I'm not a huge, I don't know everything about UFC. I just watch the fights. I know who's fighting. I know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But it's kind of ironic because I've been doing MMA for almost my entire life, like jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, I only started watching UFC once Conor retired. No, I think it was like, when did Conor retire? It was like February or something, right?
It was some point last year he retired, and then he unretired later on.
Yeah, in it was like August or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Or like sometime during the summer. But I think one of the only fights I saw of Cerrone was the one where he got who did he fight?
He fought Tony Ferguson.
Oh yeah, it was Ferguson, and his eye got messed up really bad when he blew his nose.
Yeah, he blew his sinus out.
Mm-hmm. And then you saw this huge bubble in his eye. He almost couldn't see, so they had to stop the fight. But honestly, Conor hasn't had any fights at all, right? Not yet. This is his first fight, or one of his first fights since he came back.
Yeah, since he came back, he fought. It's been like an 18-month hiatus or a 15-month hiatus since he last fought Khabib, and people forget that Conor still did good against Khabib. His takedown defense was on point. His wrestling defense, his on the back defense, he was doing good until he got really tired in the later 4th round. But he won round 3. Not many people remember that he won the 3rd round against Khabib. And as much as he got knocked down in that fight and he was made to look like he didn't belong there, he still did pretty good. And coming back, it's going to be tough because he's been gone for so long. So people like me and Todd who know what ring rust is, it may take place for him. But he's been saying that he's looked better than ever, that he's going to be this new man and things like that. And he's jacked at welterweight. He's really big.
Yeah. I just go on Instagram sometimes. I follow him. I scroll through Instagram. I see him lifting weights. I mean, sometimes he's just with his kid, which is amazing. But I just see him working out and he's jacked. I feel like the ring rust might come and take the match, but I feel like Conor might pull something unexpected with his 15 to 18 month hiatus break, whatever. I just feel like he's going to pull something unexpected. Either that or Cerrone's going to absolutely dominate him because Cerrone's been fighting recently and Conor hasn't been fighting in forever.
Yeah. But also, Conor didn't fight for 2 years before he fought Khabib, and he still looked pretty decent. And another thing to bring up is he said he didn't train any striking for the Khabib fight, and that's a big factor that caused him that loss in the Khabib fight because his striking looked very sloppy and very poor. So maybe it was the ring rust, or maybe he truly didn't train any striking. But that's just another thing we gotta talk about, because that's gonna be bad if you're facing Cerrone, who's a good striker, not really a great boxer, but his kickboxing is elite, and that's something scary that Conor might have to face.
Yeah, ring rust doesn't actually it's not only just how you fight, it's how you react. Like your reaction time, how other people fight. Like his last fight, it was Khabib, right? That
it was Khabib.
So that's like what, 2 years ago almost, and a year and a half ago, and he probably hasn't fought or like sparred with any professional UFC fighter in the last couple months, I'm guessing. So I honestly don't think his reaction time's gonna be that good.
You mean before training for this camp, right?
Well, yeah, before. But I honestly don't think his reaction time is going to be on point. His striking might be good. His offense might be good, but his defense might be a little bit wacky.
Because like his reaction time in the Khabib fight was not there. That's why he got knocked down. And it was just very poor and sloppy. But his wrestling takedown defense, his reaction time to wrestling was perfect. He knew exactly when Khabib was going for takedowns. He knew how to defend well. And that's when he actually showed good reaction time. But when it came to striking, he was all rusty. He didn't react well. He got knocked down. He was getting outstruck. Things like that. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Now we're going to bring up our next topic, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu versus wrestling. Which is the dominant sport?
Okay, so the thing about us two is I do only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's my thing. Mikey does both, or he did both.
Yeah.
And I've done more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's done both Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling. But from my point of view, I feel like one of the only flaws with wrestling is that you give up your back way too much.
Yeah.
And wrestling is more like, I guess Jiu-Jitsu is kind of more self-defense-y.
Yeah.
And
wrestling's aggressive.
Yeah, wrestling's just aggressive. Jiu-Jitsu is just I lost my train of thought. Jiu-Jitsu is self-defense. It's like for self-defense. And if you give up your back on the street when some guy's just fighting you on the ground, you're getting choked out. It doesn't matter how they choke out people. Like they could just grab your arm around your neck and then like just like flex and squeeze, and you're gonna die. You can die from that, or pass out, or whatever, or go to the hospital. And in jiu-jitsu, like one of the main things is keeping a dominant position and keeping them from getting to a better position. So it's just like, it's a lot more safe because wrestling is just aggressive, going for pins and stuff like that. So
yeah, and in the Askren and Maia fight, Maia, who is a jiu-jitsu beast, like one of the greatest jiu-jitsu fighters on the planet, choked out Askren, who is one of the best wrestlers as well. And it was just hard to watch because as a wrestler myself, like seeing somebody, another wrestler get choked out so easily in a fight like that was hard to watch. Like, you know, he choked out Askren. He made Askren look like he was an amateur wrestler, like he didn't belong in there. He made Askren look like wrestling was not something Askren has done for years upon years.
Like, you look at the fight and you just see Maia take down Askren and immediately get his back and choke him out, and that just ends the fight completely. And like, no matter how strong you are, how good you are, it always comes down to, well, I mean, strength is a factor, but if you have a really good technique versus somebody who's like big and strong, you can like climb them like a tree. You can like fly around them, get their back.
Like, that's a good example because Jorge Masvidal, who's one of the best fighters in welterweight right now, who just won the BMF belt against Nate Diaz in his last fight, he was made to look like he was an amateur when Maia fought him. Maia climbed him like a tree. Maia made him look like he didn't know what grappling was, because Maia is very good at taking your back and things like that. He's just very, very good at like, he had the backpack position, as we call it, where he gets on your back while you're standing and things like that. And he made he made Askren, not Askren, he made Masvidal fight at Maya's pace. Like, he had a backpack on him. The backpack position where where Jorge was standing and Maya had his legs around him while Jorge was standing, and he was trying to get chokes off that, and you could get a standing rear naked choke off of that.
Yeah.
Or I mean, you wouldn't be standing, but your opponent would be.
Yeah. But all in all, I just feel like jiu-jitsu is more practical. It's just you need more training.
But another thing with that is we saw Tyron Woodley a long time ago, I think 2017. He fought Maya, and Maya, as one of the greatest grapplers, couldn't take down Woodley. And Woodley's a Division I NCAA, I think it's Division I NCAA wrestler, or he's an All-American. One of the two, but he just defended all the takedowns because he has superior wrestling. So then that comes into play, because what do you do if you can't get the guy to the floor and you're a grappler? Like, you can't, if you don't have good striking, you're going to get outstruck. And if you can't get them to the floor and they have superior wrestling, and if you do get to them to the floor, what are you going to do if they outpower you because of their wrestling?
Mm-hmm. The thing about wrestling is it's easy to pick up, but if a good wrestler goes against a good grappler, you're gonna almost every single time the grappler is gonna win. There might be a special case where like the strength of the wrestler overcomes the technique, but like
if it's an amateur wrestler, at
yeah,
least.
yeah. Like me, right now I'm training against a 190 6-foot guy. He's really strong, and still I get his back so much because he used to wrestle, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu forever, and I would just get his back every time he gave it up, and I would choke him out. No matter how many times he overpowered me or he flipped me over, he took me down, I would still be able to find an opening, and I would like get his back, and it would be over from there. So it all depends on, it depends on how good you are, because a good wrestler can always overpower somebody because of their strength, and wrestling is based around strength, but jiu-jitsu is based around technique, and it's more fluent and elegant, and it just flows into everything. Like, you can get so many submissions off of so many positions. From what I've learned, you can get an armbar from standing, you can get an armbar from the guard, from the side mount. Even if you're on the bottom, you can get on their back, you can get a rear naked, you can get a short choke. There's just like so many factors to play in, and once you get really good and once you master all of that, you can dominate almost everybody.
And if a wrestler doesn't know proper positioning, they will not know how to defend against the chokes or the arm bars or the arm triangles and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, that basically wraps up our take on BJJ versus wrestling. And next we're going to talk about a possible fight between Cejudo and Volkanovski. So a fight between Volkanovski and Cejudo, that's a big matchup.
Yeah, because they're both such good wrestlers.
But Cejudo has the advantage in the wrestling easily.
Yeah, he was like he was the youngest gold medalist of all time. I think he was like 18.
18 or 20, one of the two.
Yeah, something like that. And he had a gold medal in wrestling.
Yeah, freestyle wrestling. He had a gold medal in. He dominated. He still had acne when he went into that.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's
And what is he now, like 20 something?
20. I think he was 27 when he fought the Demetrius fight, or 20. Let me look up his age.
Yeah, but the thing about Cejudo is he's a wrestler, and what we talked about before,
he's 32 now.
He's 32 now, so like that's still a lot of time. But he's been on fire recently. He has he has the belts he has all three belts in.
No, not 3 belts. He has 2 belts. It's flyweight and bantamweight.
What happened to the third belt? Didn't he get
he called himself Triple C because he had a gold medal.
Oh.
That's why he said he was Triple C.
Yeah.
Because that counts as a belt, technically.
Well, yeah. So he had those 2 belts, not 3, from
He beat Demetrius Johnson.
yeah, and then the second one was
T.J. Dillashaw.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I don't really keep up as much as Mikey does, so I'm just here on the
Cejudo
sidelines.
was 21 years old when he first won his gold medal.
Yeah, I was thinking it was either 18 or 21, but that's still super young.
Yeah. Now he's 32. 9 years later, or 11 years?
11
Yeah.
years later.
11 years later.
He's doing he's like,
He may be cringy,
Yeah.
but he's one of the
what's
best.
the word? Oh, fuck. He's, I can't remember the word. Just keep talking, I'll remember.
But yeah, Volkanovski, though, he has good boxing, and as we saw in his fight against Holloway, he has amazing striking, technical striking.
He's in his
at least.
prime. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, Cejudo's definitely in his prime.
He's definitely in his prime.
Same with Volkanovski. Volkanovski,
With the Holloway fight.
Holloway fight, the reason he won that Holloway fight was because of the good leg kicks. He was leg kicking Holloway a lot, keeping him at a distance. And when Holloway got close, he was able to hit a few shots with the striking, with his boxing on Holloway to back him up and make him fear the power of Volkanovski. Because Volkanovski is a strong dude, but so is Cejudo.
Yeah, like with every fight, I can see it going both ways. Like even though Cejudo's doing the best he's done ever, like
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. He's an amazing wrestler. He's an amazing striker. Volkanovski is a really good wrestler, not as good as Cejudo, but his striking is phenomenal. Like you never know. Cejudo could dominate Volkanovski. Volkanovski can dominate Cejudo. Like you never see what's gonna happen. Like
You never know with MMA. It's the one sport you can't predict.
the Masvidal and Askren fight.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that coming. It ended in 4 seconds. Like we thought we would see like a nice, like decent fight. We knew Masvidal was gonna win in the end, but like we didn't expect it to end in 4 seconds because you never know. You never fucking know.
And then I never expected Nate Diaz to get dominated the way he did against Masvidal. Masvidal knocked him down. He won all 4 rounds that they fought, and he was just making him look like Diaz didn't know what to do in there.
Yeah. But honestly, I feel like Cejudo has the upper hand, but again, you never know. I honestly think Cejudo might win this one.
Yeah,
If it happens.
Yeah, if the fight happens.
It's still just speculation, but if it does, it'll be an amazing fight.
Yeah.
It'd be really it would really be a really good matchup.
Yeah. So the final topic we're going to talk about today is Khabib Nurmagomedov versus George St. Pierre, which is a big possible fight. And if it does come true and we do see George fight, if we do see GSP fight Khabib, I don't know what happens in that fight. It's a hard to predict fight.
I mean, it probably because George St. Pierre hasn't fought in 2 years.
3.
3?
About 3.
Oh
maybe.
yeah. I forgot it's 2020. I still can't handle the transition between years. Yeah. So it's been 4 years since his last fight with Bisping. And
No, 3 years.
Oh yeah, 3 years, and then before that, it was a 4-year gap between those the 2 fights. So he hasn't fought in forever, but with with that comeback against Bisping, but you could see Bisping was like completely dominating him. George had blood all over his face. He was completely sloppy and tired, and then he just got that it was like a level change with a left hook to Bisping.
I mean,
on
he
his
wasn't
chin.
getting completely dominated. He was getting him on the floor, but he was getting elbowed from the floor by Bisping.
Well, yeah, and like you
And
could
he
see
was
how
getting tired.
you could see how tired he was, and then he just got the complete comeback on Bisping.
Yeah. He did a level change into a left hook, and Bisping was down. He elbowed him from hell, and then he got the rear naked choke on him and choked him unconscious.
But with Khabib's been doing really good recently, right?
Yeah,
he's
Khabib
been doing good.
Choked out Conor. I mean, he's 28-0. Of course, he's doing good. But his upcoming fight against Tony, I don't know if that 28-0 lasts. I think he's gonna go 28-1. But that's a different story. But George, he's a big man. Like he fought at middleweight, which is 185, and he weighs around like 190, 200, and he would have to cut down to 155 if he wanted to fight Khabib for lightweight. And that's a large gap.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a fourth of his weight. He just has to cut out just to fight Khabib, which I'd say it'd probably be worth it.
Yeah, I think
to destroy Khabib.
I think he's a much larger guy, and I think his wrestling would outbeat Khabib's, but it depends. Even though Khabib's wrestling is amazing, George is just a lot bigger and a lot stronger.
Well, I mean, he's not going to be a lot bigger once he gets down to that level. But
unless he gains his weight back in the same night. But that's very hard to do as well.
In the same night?
Yeah, you only get one night. Like, you weigh in on Friday and then you fight Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, in the same day. Like, the next day over.
Go back from 155 to 190?
People have done it. They've gained that. Yeah, it's crazy.
In a day? Oh my god.
It's insane.
That's crazy.
Well, people, usually they just cut water weight. So when they cut all the water weight, when they rehydrate themselves, then they get a lot of weight back.
Mm-hmm. Like, that must be unhealthy, though.
Oh, it's very unhealthy.
It's super unhealthy. Like, before you fight, to be dehydrated.
Beyond belief dehydrated. Like to the point where you're passing out.
Yeah, it's going to be I feel like if he's going to lose weight to fight Khabib, he's got to do it gradually. He can't just lose water weight because then it's going to be such an unmatched fight because George is going to be so out of shape. And then Khabib is going to be in, like, Khabib's also pretty much in his prime. He's been doing really good the past couple of years.
Khabib weighs around like 185, 190 normally. Mm-hmm. But he's able to cut that weight because he's a smaller guy.
Yeah.
While GSP while GSP is a much bigger and larger guy.
Yeah. If he does cut his weight down gradually, I feel like a lot of his muscle is going to go with it.
Yeah,
there's no way he's going to be
He'd have to cut out that muscle. Mm-hmm. He'd sacrifice muscle for weight.
And that's going to be a problem if he's going to fight Khabib because Khabib's used to being like in that range, 155, 190.
Yeah. Well, GSP is not used to that. It would be his first fight ever, while Khabib has 28 fights down in that weight, or around 28 fights. I'm not sure if he fought all in lightweight, but if he has, still, that's 28 fights or 20-something fights in lightweight, and that's crazy compared to GSP never fighting once there.
Yeah. If it happens, it's still just speculation like Cejudo and Volk. It's speculation, but if it happens, we have to see how it goes, how like the setup to the fight goes, because if I don't know, because he could just, if he gradually cuts his weight, it's like kind of a lose-lose for George. For GSP, he's like, he either fights like he's in a desert about to pass out, or he just, like, he's not as built as he usually is. His technique in his wrestling, like his karate background and his wrestling background might help him, but Khabib is just such a phenomenal wrestler that it might be really hard for George to
keep up.
Yeah, to do anything with it.
Dehydrated and tired. And even though he does get a day to get all his energy back, weight cuts are very difficult, and people still, like, they get messed up during the fight because of their weight cut. Mm-hmm. Like, somebody who has said it before, like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who is one of the best female fighters on the planet, has been messed up in her fights due to her weight cuts. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy to see. But somebody who surprised me with their weight cut was Jose Aldo. He never had a nutritionist before this last fight.
When was that last fight again?
Marlon Moraes.
Oh, yeah.
The one he should have won. But he got screwed out.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. He never had a nutritionist.
Never.
That's dangerous.
He ate whatever he wanted and then cut all that water weight.
And he still did really good in most of his fights, right?
Yeah. And
that's insane.
This time he actually looked like fit or not, like he always looks fit, but he looked healthy and ready to go. And he didn't look like he was going to pass out during his fight.
Probably because of the nutritionist.
Yeah, definitely because of the nutritionist.
Yeah, like, it's so important. Because not even like a UFC fighter, anybody, a regular person needs to if everybody had a nutritionist, obesity would be such a minuscule problem because like
especially in America.
yeah, like everybody thinks that just eating a salad 3 times a day is gonna make you lose weight. That's not true. Like I know recently, like a couple of years ago, there's this thing you could do. It's like it's super expensive, but they like analyze they take a sample of the bacteria from your stomach, they analyze it, and
But we shouldn't get into real detail about that because it's about time we end the podcast. And that's all. And thank you guys for watching episode 2, and see you around.